for life engineering, processes that combine science, wisdom, and spirituality to build a life of alignment. Joining Dr. Pat is your host, Gabriella Embon, bringing you bi-weekly wisdom nuggets, your step-by-step guidance to build a life of no regrets. Stay tuned as they uncover powerful processes for you to realize your true potential. Are you ready for some magic wisdom? Life engineering starts now.
Everybody, welcome. I love this. I get to take this journey with Gabriella. I mean, you heard about her show, and so we want to tell you where we are today. What I love about this is Gabriella is taking us on a journey to help us understand not just about all the great ideas we have, but what do we do with them? What are the potholes we step into that we can avoid? And today's show is part of a series we're doing. It is a critical part. Gabriella, great and excited. Okay, give us a recap. Where have we been?
Well, I love the journey we're walking together with our listeners. Yes, this is the journey of our life, the most exciting journey we're here for. And we started with the vision, right? The vision was the first step. Every time we want to create something new, we start with, what do I want? The vision, and why do I want it? And then we move to the second step, which was the design. Last episode, we talked about the third step, which was the pilot. How do I test my vision? And I test my design by creating a pilot, no commitment. Let's just play and see what happens, right? And today we are going to move towards the fourth step, which is after the pilot, let's get going. This is the path, the journey, the trajectory. This is the consistent effort to create our vision, to create the results and the goals that we really want, to create that life of no regrets. So I'm very excited for today. We're going to talk a lot about how this path looks like, what can happen, and how do we stay committed, right? Because this is where we tend to sometimes fail in a way because we might retract. How do we make sure we stay committed? How do we build that grit towards in the journey towards our results? Does it make sense?
Yes, it does. Because, I mean, there are different places along the way that you've described this to us, there are different places along the way where we can step in a pothole. And some of them, yeah, we can probably climb out of ourselves, but others, we don't even know we've done it. This one in particular for me, and we talked about this last time, we talked about if you get to this part and you skip it, and I gave you an analogy. In app development, like IT, like AI, in app development, if you choose to skip this, then you need to let the cards fall where they may as to whether or not, one, the app works, or two, people even like it. And this is a high risk proposition, isn't it?
Absolutely. Listen, we can't skip this. This is the most exciting part. I mean, if you remember last episode, we talked about the mechanics of manifesting, right? And we said that manifesting starts with an idea, as you mentioned, and then that idea creates a possibility. The moment we create a design to manifest that idea and we start taking the first steps, like the pilot, we are switching the status of that possibility to probability. And then all we need to do is just increase that probability by taking consistent action. Now, that consistent action might sound like boring. It's not boring because it's not consistent action that we are always doing the same. As we are taking action, we are learning, we're getting more clear. Remember, we talk about the clarities in the path. This is where we're going to get the most amount of clarity and drive, and we're going to be able to course correct and even redefine our vision more. So this is the most exciting component. It's the real game and the true realization of our potential, right? It's the commitment to ourselves. It's the commitment to create an intentional life. I mean, how many people do you know that they lead a life that feels that it's not theirs, that they ask, how did I end up here? So a happy life we used to talk about happiness with in another podcast. Happiness has two ingredients. It's the combination of two ingredients: faith and authenticity.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if I lead an authentic life with faith, meaning that I have the courage to take action and move forward, I'm going to create a life that the byproduct of such life, that it's led with authenticity, intention, and faith, the byproduct of such life is happiness. So this is where, we are creating a life of intention, like a life of no regrets.
Yeah. I was in a conversation this morning with someone, and even yesterday. And I think when you talk to people that really long for a success, they have three things they want to achieve. One, they want to be recognized for their expertise. Two, they want to make sure that what they're doing has some longevity to it. And three, they want to make money from it. And when those three things can't get achieved, it's usually because they haven't gone through a strategic and tactical approach to it. When I have to tell people, okay, that's where you are, we can do it, it's going to take 12 months. The look on their face is just sheer panic. But then I break it down and I say, this is what you do here and here. Why do we take an approach with somebody like that? You know this.
Absolutely.
You are responsible for other people. And that is not a place where we take risks, is it?
Absolutely. You mentioned that when people hear how long it's going to take, they panic. I always tell the coaches, building a coaching business is not like putting a prefabricated home that you have it within a few weeks. It's actually more like building a wall one brick at a time. So it's true. And people will result fast. We live in that generation. Our kids want result fast. But I'm not sure this is a very fulfilling life, because you see, a spiritual life is a life that mirrors our gifts, our purpose, and our wishes.
Yeah.
Right? But in order for us to reveal our purpose and gifts, we have to reveal ourselves. How do we reveal ourselves? Right? Do we reveal ourselves when everything is given to us, prefabricated? Or do we reveal our gifts, our hidden talents, our courage, our vulnerability, when we are putting one brick at a time, when we're walking the path? So that's why this is the most exciting part, because it's not just about getting results. And we're going to talk about how do we make sure that we commit and stay in love with the process. Yeah. It's truly about the person we are becoming as we are walking the path. And that's the most exciting part, is learning who we are. We don't learn who we are by asking ourselves. We learn who we are by becoming and observing as we are becoming. But what we can become passive manifestors and allow life to throw situations, and all we do is, overcome those situations. Or we can become active manifestors and have an intention of what we want to create and exercise all these internal gifts and revealing ourselves in the path of intention, in the path of creating what I want and not just what comes into my life. So we get to choose, as we said in the first episode. So the idea is to stay committed, because as we're walking the path, the path will be paved with, of course, surprises, setbacks, challenges. So the question is, how do we truly stay committed to the journey and we don't retract?
Yeah.
Right?
And I think in your language, you also talk about aligned. I love that word aligned. I love that word aligned, because I think this is really important. The way you bring this out. Two things I love. Look, thank you for mentioning the word spiritual, because that's a staple for me. That's a staple. Now, I'm not telling people what to believe or how they believe it, but the practice of that's what's fueled my hope. That's what fired up my commitment. And that's what absolutely has elevated the belief that I have and the confidence I have that the path I'm on is the right one. And I think that's what you're saying here. You have to do that stay in love thing. But this is an important step, because if we're not open to what is being shown to us and we don't make a course correction, oopsie.
The path is never boring because it gets created as we walk through it.
Yeah.
But like you said, how do we stay in love through the process? And how do we commit no matter how long it takes to get results, right? It's kind of like renewing our commitment on a daily basis, pretty much like renewing our marriage vows after many years of being together. So these are, powerful questions to ask ourselves. How do I make sure that I commit and I don't retract despite the time it takes to see the results? I mean, when we see results right away, everybody's motivated. If we go to the gym and after 1 or 2 workouts, we look at the mirror and we see that our body's completely different, nobody would actually quit going to the gym so fast, right? But we know it's not the case. So we live in the physical form, things take time, we're under the law of time. How do we make sure that we stay there and we don't retract? And I would like to answer that question because I think this might be beneficial for many, many people. So it all starts with our motivation, right? And understanding that a good motivation is a motivation that acts as constant fuel and provides that willpower no matter what, no matter the challenges, no matter the time it takes, no matter what's going on at home. That's what we're looking for, how to build that solid motivation. And in order to answer that question, we want to understand that normally there are 2 types of motivation. We have what we call destination motivation. Destination motivation is being motivated by the results, by the accomplishments, and by what it means to create those accomplishments, whether it's fame or the status or that people will see me a certain way. And being motivated by the destination, the results, it can provide initial motivation, but normally it will fail to sustain that energy. Like we said before, because we don't always create results right away. If we are only motivated by the results, we might actually quit, because the moment we don't see the results, the brain will go, forget it, this is not working, I'm out of here. So that could be the initial motivation, but it cannot sustain us. And normally, when somebody's only motivated by the results, then that becomes a way of fulfilling an internal void.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's solving a problem, creating another problem.
Yeah. Look, we know this in the study of behavioral science and research. We know that money is a motivator, but short term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So money will be a great example of the result motivation, right? Now, the second motivation is the path, the journey motivation. And it's that internal energy that is connected to the person I am becoming as I'm walking through that journey. And it's less dependent on the results. So we are not going to depend on seeing results in order to continue, because what's motivating us is beyond the results. That becomes a very sustainable source of inspiration, determination. If we focus on the person I'm becoming, if we focus on the progress, if we focus on the growth and on revealing ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
It does make sense. And part of this is really to understand who we are as a person. The other part of this is understanding what is the short game and the long game that we want to play. You're right about some things. I mean, motivation has been looked at for years in research, but in the end, it's the behavioral analysis that people look at. I'm motivated not to eat that entire cake later, but what is going to be what I actually do about that? We're not talking about cake here. We're talking about building a life and a future. So it's very important to understand this step from where I'm sitting.
But if I look at your example, if we talk for a moment at your example about the cake, okay, the reason is what motivates me not to eat that cake. So I could say I'm not eating that cake because I want to be in a certain body by the summer, right? And then I'm being motivated by the results. And most likely once the summer is over, I'm going to overeat. Or I might say, I'm not going to eat that cake because I want to stay healthy so I can live longer and play with my grandkids and be healthy. And then that is more of the path motivation, is more of an internal motivation that doesn't expire. See, the other one has an expiry date.
Shelf life.
The moment this shelf life, the moment the summer is over, I might not be interested in keeping count of what I eat. But the other one, I will commit to it because it's the person I'm becoming. I want to be a healthy person. So that's the difference, right? If we give a few more examples of how to make sure we are tapping into that internal motivation, is asking ourselves, why am I doing this? Right? It's understanding that the responsibility from me as I'm walking the path is to be in pure intention, to be in effort, and to impact without expecting immediate results. Look, we all want to see results. But do I take every step expecting the results? Or do I take every step falling in love with the impact I'm creating, the intention I have, the person I'm becoming, the challenges I'm overcoming, what I'm learning, right? So the idea is to put effort not to create results. The idea is to put the effort to create the container to receive the results, to create the space to receive the results. Or you can look at it as to give for the purpose of impact and not to give so people say how great you are. Or to work for a small result the same as you will work for a big one. To coach a client for $10 the same as you would coach a client for $1,000.
Perfect example is me. When I started this, I had pure joy. I didn't even understand what I was doing. I knew I loved it. I bought airtime, a lot of airtime. And, then I had somebody come on the show, it was a psychic. And one of my friends came on the show and he said, listen, blah, 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 blah. You're going to see the data of your dream in 9 years. And I remember hearing that and thinking to myself, no. Now, did it stop me? Did it demotivate me? It could have. But what you just talked about, that love, keeping that love of the process, that's what happened. That's the way it worked. And just so you know, it took 6 years, but I didn't focus on that thing that was going to block my energy. Isn't that what we do when we hold expectations about things? I'm not saying you don't have a goal, you have to have them. But you talk about the responsibility is to have a pure intention, right? So talk about that.
Exactly. The responsibility is to say, I'll do my part and the results are going to arrive whenever they need to arrive, because it's not up to me. I truly believe it's up to the universe. So we have no control over that part. And the only control we have is over the effort. And when I mean effort, I mean consistent, aligned action. I don't mean struggling or hard work, right? Or hustling. I don't mean that. That's the only part we truly have control over, is who I am becoming as we're taking action. Am I taking action from a place of faith? So I expected to teach a class and I was expecting to have 50 students and 2 showed up.
That happened to me.
Am I going to teach these 2 students as they were, 50? And I'm going to give it all because this is what I want to do. This is what I love to do, right?
Yes.
But these are tests also along the way. How committed are we to our work? Is it a labor of love? And to be honest, it's very liberating to have that kind of motivation. Because if all you need to do is focus on doing your thing, one step at a time, course correcting, improving your craft, and let go of when the results are going to come. You just need to know they're there, but you don't know when they're going to arrive.
Yeah.
Just know that it's somewhere there. And when you are in that, right, that we talked about, we take one action and another, and we're increasing that probability. And when you get very close to the 100, you're going to see the results, but you don't know when that's going to happen. The only part you have full control of is the steps along the way. So that's all you need to do. So release. It's almost like, finally, I can release myself from obsessing about when the results are going to arrive, and just prioritize that progress, that growth, right? And becoming better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about being the first. It's not about being the best. It's actually about becoming better than yesterday.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. I know we only have a few minutes left, but it's an important one. One of the things I noticed along the way, it's really easy, is that once I let go of my own false expectation, there were things that showed up in my own personal development, my own growth, the ideas, the growth of the company. And it's so important not to get distracted by disappointment, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's what you want to remember is that everything that is happening along the way is part of the journey, whether you like it or not. Because as long as you are in pure intention, every act from pure intention, when you are taking that action, there's a parallel force in the universe that is also creating. So almost you have to tell yourself, I don't need to see the results to have permission to continue. No matter what, don't retract, continue. You can stop, reevaluate, course correct is needed, but don't retract, continue. You don't need to see results to have permission to continue, right? You have permission to continue knowing the results have already been created, and all you're doing at the moment is creating the container to receive them.
Wow.
I'll give you an analogy that perhaps we can leave the listeners with this. Imagine that when your child is born, you open a saving account ready for your child. So when they graduate, they have that money to open a business or purchase a home. The money is already there. Are you going to give that money to them right away? No. Right? Are you going to give that money to them if they are in the wrong path in life? No. The money was there from the moment that you made the decision to have it. What you are waiting is for your child to embody being a responsible, accountable person, and then you gladly give it to them. So this is the way you want to look at it. The results are there. Metaphysically speaking, they're there. All you can do is take that responsibility of creating the path, becoming better, improving your craft. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know, when manifesting, for me, manifesting is not asking for the results to show in my door. It's about asking for the opportunities to exercise my creative power. So rather than asking for the final product, I tend to ask for the means to create what I want, the resources I need, the people to help me, the funds, the time, etc. And that connects me directly with the path, more than the expectation of the result. It allows me to stay internally motivated by the path and commit and don't retract and build that grit, that combination of determination, perseverance, and passion.
Yeah. Thank you. Wait, before we go, how do people find out more about you? Please tell everyone.
Well, you can find out about us at coachingacademy.net. We have a life coaching certification starting next week, April 27. So contact us if you'd like to learn more about it.
And I just want to say this, Gabriela is amazing. But remember this, in 2003, before I had a radio show, I had a card. It's an orange card. It had crust busting on it. On the back, it had an intention. And it said that I wanted to reach 1 million people by the end of the year to help them live life full out. I had no idea I would dial a wrong phone number, buy airtime, and 20 years later, that vision continued to manifest. That's exactly what Gabriella is talking about. Thank you, Gabriella. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning us in, turning us on.
Thank you.
Everybody out there, get that pure intention. Don't be distracted by whatever you see out there that might be in your way, and listen to this episode again. We'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Life Engineering, processes that combine science, wisdom, and spirituality to create a life of alignment on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Join host Gabriella Embon and Dr. Pat every first and third Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific for bi-weekly wisdom nuggets on how to create your perfect synergy between your mind, body, and spirit in order to realize your true potential. For more information, visit Gabriella at coachingacademy.net.